Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, subscribe right now, because this channel covers the moments in K-pop that the mainstream keeps underestimating, and what we're about to break down today might genuinely be the most jaw-dropping talent story in 4th and 5th generation K-pop history. Like this video before we even start, because by the time we're done, you're going to want to share this with every single K-pop fan you know. And drop a comment right now, just one word, describing what you think of Ahyeon. Let's go. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're one of the biggest singer-songwriters on the planet. You've written and produced hits for Maroon 5, Meghan Trainor, Wiz Khalifa. You have 9 Grammy nominations to your name. You're Charlie Puth. One day, you're scrolling online, the way all of us do, and you stumble across a video of a teenage K-pop trainee covering one of your songs. And instead of just leaving a nice comment or reposting it the way celebrities do when they want some engagement, you do something completely different. You pick up the phone, call your team, and say, "I want to give this girls group a song." Not license it. Not sell it. Give it. Because what you just witnessed was something that moved you on a level that went beyond content consumption and straight into genuine artistic recognition. That is what happened with Ahyeon. And if that story alone doesn't make you stop everything and pay attention, I don't know what will. But stay with me, because it gets even more insane from here. Before we talk about Charlie Puth, we need to establish exactly who Ahyeon is, because a lot of people still only know her surface level. Young Ahyeon, born April 11, 2007, from Chuncheon, Gangwon-do, South Korea, is a member of babymonster, YG Entertainment's 7-member girl group that debuted on April 1, 2024. Within the group, she simultaneously holds the positions of main vocalist, lead rapper, lead dancer, center, and face of the group. 5 positions. 1 person. Born in 2007. Let that sink in. And before you say, well, lots of idols get stacked with titles, understand that in Ahyeon's case these aren't honorary labels, they are descriptions of what she actually does on stage, what she was evaluated on, and what she ranked first in across all babymonster trainees in YG's final internal evaluation. Yang Hyun-suk, the founder of YG Entertainment, the man who built 2NE1 and Blackpink, personally described Ahyeon as a warrior that has many weapons. That is not a PR soundbite. That is a man who has spent decades in this industry recognizing something rare when he sees it. Now here's the part people keep comparing wrong, and I want to address it head-on because the Lisa comparison follows Ahyeon everywhere she goes. Lisa, and I'll say this with full respect, is a legend. Main dancer, lead rapper of Blackpink. First non-ethnically Korean trainee YG ever signed. Her 2021 solo debut with La Lisa broke the 24-hour viewing record for a soloist with 73.6 million views. She earned 2 Guinness World Records. She performed at a charity gala hosted by Brigitte Macron in Paris. Lisa's legacy is untouchable. But here is the fundamental difference that most people refuse to sit with long enough to really absorb. Lisa's power within Blackpink was anchored in her dance. Her rap was charismatic, her presence was electric, but her vocal contribution was always in a supporting role. That was the design. That was the group structure YG built for her. And she excelled within it. Ahyeon has no such ceiling. Ahyeon is not designed to be excellent in 1 or 2 things, she is designed, or rather born, to be complete. And that completeness is what makes the comparison not just inaccurate, but genuinely limiting to how you understand what Ahyeon actually is. So let's get back to Charlie Puth, because this is the story that ties everything together, and it's the story that proves the thesis of this entire video. In early 2023, YG was rolling out babymonster member reveals one by one, and as part of that campaign they released individual performance videos. Ahyeon's showcase was a cover of Charlie Puth's song, Dangerously. Now, Dangerously is not a simple song. It's an emotionally layered, vocally demanding piece that requires the performer to carry the entire weight of the song with nothing but their voice and their ability to make you feel something. Most established artists struggle with it. Ahyeon, a pre-debut trainee who had not yet turned 17, delivered a performance so controlled, so emotionally resonant, so technically precise and yet so utterly human that it went viral almost immediately. That cover video accumulated close to 40 to 50 million views on YouTube. A pre-debut cover. Not a music video. Not a comeback. A performance video of a trainee singing someone else's song. That number alone should stop the conversation about whether or not Ahyeon is the real deal. But here's what elevated it from impressive to historic. Charlie Puth actually saw that cover. And his response wasn't a tweet or a quick res-hair. He was so genuinely moved by what Ahyeon did with his music that he personally gifted a song to babymonster for their debut EP. That song became, like that, the third track on their first mini-album babymonster 7ER, released April 1, 2024. Think about what that means in the context of the K-pop world. International artists don't just hand songs to rookie groups. That's not how the industry works. The fact that Charlie Puth, an artist at that level of global recognition, was moved enough by one trainee's cover to actively reach out and contribute to their debut project is not a small thing. It is a statement. It is a man with no contractual obligation to anyone in that situation saying, "The talent I witnessed deserves to be met with something real." And he acted on that feeling. That is Ahyeon's power. That is what separates her from the conversation about who she might be like. And now I want you to think about something else, because this is the hook that nobody talks about, and it might be the most fascinating part of this entire story. In November 2023, weeks before babymonster was set to debut, YG announced that Ahyeon would not be participating due to health reasons. The group moved forward as a 6-member lineup and released Batter Up on November 27, 2023. Now, and pay close attention here, in the comments of every Batter Up performance, in every reaction video, in every fan discussion thread, the number one topic was not the song itself. It was Ahyeon. A girl who was not in the group yet was somehow the most talked about person in every conversation about the group. She was generating discussion, emotional investment, and community engagement from the sidelines, without being present, without releasing new content, and without saying a single word. That is a level of pull that is genuinely difficult to explain rationally. It's the kind of thing that happens around once or twice in a generation of K-pop, and when you see it, you don't dismiss it by calling it hype. You recognize it for what it is, star power. When YG confirmed in January 2024 that Ahyeon had recovered and would be rejoining the group for their first mini-album, the fan response was immediate and overwhelming. The hashtag #WelcomeBackAhyeon trended across multiple platforms within hours. And when the full 7-member babymonster finally debuted together on April 1, 2024, YG made a decision that said everything about how they view Ahyeon's contribution. They re-recorded both Batter Up and Stuck in the Middle to include her vocals, releasing these as the 7-member versions on the debut EP. The message was clear: those songs were incomplete without her. Not politely incomplete. Structurally incomplete. That kind of institutional acknowledgement from a label as historically difficult to impress as YG Entertainment is not something that gets handed out lightly. What you need to understand about why Ahyeon is more dangerous than any comparison to previous YG artists gives her credit for is this: every great idol who came before her was great within a defined lane. Lisa danced like nobody else on earth. Jennie had a charisma and fashion authority that was uniquely hers. Rose had a vocal color that was instantly identifiable from the first note. These were lane-specific legends. Ahyeon doesn't have a lane. She is the road. She sings with the kind of emotional transparency that makes a 40 million view pre-debut cover possible. She raps with enough technical sophistication that industry producers are publicly commenting on the structure of her flow. She dances with the precision and sharpness that YG training is known for, but brings an individual energy to it that makes her movement recognizable as hers specifically. She speaks Korean, English, and Mandarin Chinese fluently, which means her connection with international audiences isn't filtered through subtitles or translation, it's direct. And she does all of this while being, at the time of this video, barely 18 years old. The trajectory Ahyeon is on right now, with babymonster having already released their debut EP babymonster, their full studio album Drip, which surpassed 1 million copies in domestic sales and charted on the Billboard 200, and currently embarking on their Hello Monsters world tour across Asia, the United States, and Japan. This trajectory has one direction. And the farther she goes down it, the more obvious it becomes that the question was never, is she the next Lisa? The real question, the one that the K-pop industry is slowly starting to whisper, is, what is the ceiling for someone who doesn't seem to have one? Charlie Puth already answered that question in his own way. He heard a teenage trainee sing his song in a pre-debut video, and his response was to give her something. Not a comment. Not a repost. A song. Because on some level, even from the outside, even without knowing every detail of who she is or where she's going, he recognized that what was in front of him was not a copy of something that already existed. It was something new. Something rare. Something that deserved to be met with an equally real gesture. And that, more than any chart position, more than any view count, more than any comparison to any idol who came before her, that is the moment that tells you exactly what kind of artist Ahyeon already is. And she hasn't even scratched the surface yet. If you made it to the end of this video, you already know. Drop a comment and tell me, did Charlie Puth making that move change how you see Ahyeon? Because I genuinely want to know. Like this video if you think Ahyeon is one of the most complete idols of this generation, and share it, because this is a story that more people need to hear. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep covering the moments and the artists that the mainstream conversation keeps sleeping on. See you in the next one. Ahyeon.